Welcome back, everyone. So I found this video and I wanted to do, because I'm really adamant about protecting the right for people to vape. I really am. So I found this video. I haven't watched all of it yet, but I wanted to do like kind of a response. I have watched some of it, but another thing that kind of made me like do a spit take was that it's at 22 million views. Holy shit. So let's just jump into it. But before I begin, I would like to say that I know what he's doing, and I do think that it's important that we do acknowledge that there is harmful effects to vaping. But they're not, it's nowhere near as harmful as some other things. But we'll get to that. But it is important to acknowledge that vaping is not like healthy for you. For legal reasons. But it should be a right, and a respected right at that. So here we go.
The average person that vapes between 60 and 120 milliliters per month. A bottle this size holds 60 milliliters. So in this experiment, we're going to be using 2 bottles, which is equal to 120 milliliters. And each of these bottles has 6 milligrams of nicotine. And just so you know, Vaporfy reached out to me and offered me their vape pen and juices.
And I would also like to point out the PG to VG ratio that was on that. VG is a lot better than the PG, and that's my understanding of it. And also, a coil like this is not meant to vape straight, like through an entire bottle that he is talking about doing, the 120 milliliters. This coil will burn out, and you will be vaping cotton. Just saying, it's a tiny little vape pen
to use in this video. And this is the 2 flavors we'll be using. This one here has a blend of 3 different flavors.
Cool.
On their website it says that they'll blend any flavors that you like. If you're interested in any of their stuff, it'll be linked in the description below.
Sweet. What happens when you vape for a month? Your lungs inhale. Okay, so he's using a pump, and he's going to use cotton balls. Cotton balls are not very indicative of the porous material, this tissue that your lungs are made out of, because your lungs actually can develop scar tissue from things like smoking. Like if you smoke, your lungs will develop scar tissue. When the scar tissue develops, the tissue no longer is capable of actually absorbing anything anymore because of the scar tissue. So we know that, okay? This isn't a real science experiment, is it? This isn't how an actual chemist would test this, is it? Let's be honest. And as I pointed out, that is not what this particular vape mod is meant to do. That coil will burn out doing this. Just completely burn out. This isn't a real science experiment, is it? I don't think a real scientist would use cotton balls. I think we actually have equipment where we can actually look inside the human body and see the damage that it's doing. But go on. I just don't see an actual study being done using this methodology. I think something else would be done instead. And like I said, that vape pen, like, that's really not what it's meant to do. 20 milliliters in that one single little coil, like, that coil is fried, and he's vaping cotton at this point. And he's also doing like a month's worth within a few minutes of time. So nobody is going to vape like that in real life. See much of a difference. Oh, look at those cottons, your lungs. It's not real science experiment, is it? Look at that black stuff. All right, do you want to do this experiment with a cigarette? Because I guarantee you a cigarette, all of those cotton balls would be completely brown and covered in sludge. And actually, you can do this, I think being more representative of an actual experiment, is you can take a drag off of a cigarette, and so that's going through a cotton filter, your teeth, well, your lips, your teeth, your tongue, your tonsils, if you still have them, your esophagus, into your lungs, absorbed by the porous tissue that comprises of your lungs, and then is exhaled out back through the esophagus, past your tonsils, across your tongue, through your teeth, through your lips, dispersed into the air into certain parts per million. And but instead of dispersing into the air, if you take like a piece of white fabric and blow the cigarette smoke through the white fabric and then look at the fabric, you will see a brown ring where you blew through. So I wonder what it would look like if you did that with a cigarette. And he says that he's going to do that with marijuana. And I have no doubt that if you do it with biomatter, the cotton is just going to turn brown. Just fucking brown. This isn't a real science experiment, is it? Yes, some people have gotten pneumonia from vaping too much. That is a thing. And as I said, nobody vapes like that in real life. Like, nobody's going to do 120 milliliters of e-liquid within, like, several hours. That's just insane. This isn't a real science experiment, is it? You're just trying to show that over time, shit will eventually develop in your lungs. And that's true. That's probably true. And I appreciate what he's doing here. But I think this is a bit overkill. Like, it's kind of extreme at this point.
Obviously, this was not scientific, but the visual comparison between the cotton, the tubing, and the dome between smoking and vaping is dramatic. Research at this time indicates that vaping is 95% better for your health than smoking. So if you smoke, consider vaping, and if you don't smoke,
thank you.
And kids, if someone tries to get you to try vaping, just say, no, thank you. Remember this one simple rule. There is only one thing meant to go in your lungs, and that's air.
I like the message. I absolutely adore the message. And I'm glad. I didn't know that he was going to come forward and say, this isn't a real scientific experiment. So kudos to him for that. And he's absolutely right. We shouldn't encourage people to start a habit. But for those who want to make the conscious decision to do so, I think it's something that should be legal. And you should understand the negative ramifications. But that being said, we can also look at the negative ramifications of things like fattening food. And, you know, we say things like, and I can testify that, yes, indeed, vaping will help you breathe better. If you switch from smoking to vaping, it will help you breathe better. Your sense of taste and smell comes back to you. The hacking and wheezing and coughing goes away. It's nice. It's not 100%. There is some negative ramification to it. You are putting something into your lungs that doesn't belong there. That is true. But, you know, when we talk about legislation, and they talk about the correlation between such and such and cancer, like they're attacking this shit now. Well, fattening food is correlated to cancer as well, and we're not passing legislation on that. And ultimately, if we pass legislation on fattening food, that's not something that I personally would be affected by, but this is about personal choice. And I like how he ended with that by saying, you know, like, by not encouraging a bad habit, but also not trying to take it away from those who do want to engage in smoking. And I did notice that there were some comments down here about look at all the people trying to defend their habit. It's like, well, you know, like I had somebody tell me once how they asked me, how long have you had a problem with addiction and an addictive personality, a problem with addiction? And I looked at that person and I flat out said, well, I don't have a problem with addiction. I'm perfectly comfortable with my addictions, like nicotine and caffeine. Perfectly comfortable with them. And I looked back at him and I said, I think you're the one that has a problem with my addictions. I'm perfectly comfortable with them and I like them. I like caffeine, I like nicotine, and I like weed. And I don't really think weed is an addiction. If you're going to say that it's addictive because it's fun. That's not really an addiction. Being addicted to caffeine and nicotine is a true addiction. They're mental addictions in the fact that if you don't consume nicotine or caffeine, you will have a mental withdrawal, like you'll become really moody, tired, irritable, all kinds of things. Then there's the physical addictions, things like heroin, and you know that would and alcohol. Alcohol is actually becomes a physical dependency. Marijuana doesn't have those properties. If you quit smoking weed, if you've been smoking every day and you quit smoking weed, you might think to yourself, man, I really wish I could smoke a bowl right now. But you're not going to be jonesing like you do for a cigarette. You're not going to have the shakes like you do with alcohol. You're not going to be vomiting and having diarrhea like you do with heroin. So that's just the facts there for you. So I'm glad that he made this, but I wanted to make this video because I wanted to say for keepsake that, especially with the comments below on the look at the addicts defending their addiction. Well, it's like, yeah, I mean, you know, like take a fat person and throw a donut on the floor and see if they go after it. We all have our vices. Don't attack mine because you don't like it, and I'm not going to attack yours just because I don't participate in it. And I think we should have respect for each other in those senses. You don't have to respect the fact that I'm damaging my body by any means, but it is my choice. And if I want to quit, then that's my choice. I don't want to. I honestly don't want to. I legitimately enjoy consuming nicotine. And that's the truth. So actually, as far as anti-vaping videos go, this was actually pretty good. It doesn't sound that he was being anti-vaping. It sounds like he's more in pursuit of the truth. And I deeply admire and respect that. And I'm actually glad that he made this video. And I'm actually taken back. I'm surprised. I didn't know that he was going to come out and say this isn't a science experiment. It was like, okay, well, he's honest, and I like that. And, well, I just had to make this video because I have to defend vaping, because the FDA is attacking it right now, according to CNN. Even though the FDA doesn't have any substantial evidence to prove that vaping is neither negative or positive, but we'll just go with that. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I will leave the link to this video, if you like, in the description. Like I said, I actually do really, really like what this guy did here. Absolutely. I back this up, and I think he's got some promotional stuff. So let's look at the promotional stuff.
Well, I hope this video has helped. If it did, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
Well, he does do it with a cigarette.
See you next
cool.
time.
So yeah, apparently he has some links. So if you want to get like the vape mod that he was using, or some e-liquid, he has that available. And like he encourages, if you haven't started an addiction, don't try to go out of your way to get an addiction. Don't do that. But you know, respect people's rights. Just have respect. But like, share, subscribe, comment, bell button. That out.